Okay. What we have here, we opened it up and I have a few layers here. I'm just going to show you the layers. These layers, when they show this little T-square icon, it's like a T-square from a drawing table. If you're doing drafting, if you're back in the old days, they use T-squares. This is telling it it's a guide. So when I right-clicked on that layer, I made it a guide layer. And a guide layer works two ways. When we're doing classic tweens, it's something that can follow a path. But if it's not following a path, it also works that it can be part of your animate, your FLA document, but it won't export out when you show your export. Then I have a thing for your drawings, and this was when you were going to draw on the Cintiqs and put them on there, but we can still use our, we'll have to do it a little bit different with a new format, but it has your drawing. So if you were drawing over this character, you would put each of these new blank frames that are here and added keyframes there for that walk. So what we have is this walk cycle, and if I hit the play button, so you can kind of see how that's working. There's a little pause there as it regenerates, but let's see if I do a command, return, control, enter. I'll make a, oh, it's not showing up because I have it as a, I just said that, I have it as a guide. So I'll turn that guide off for a second, and then I'll do that, command, return, and there it is. So you could see from all those examples we looked at, that's the bump, 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 that steady walk cycle, that determined style walk cycle that we were using. So now I want to point out some things about the walk cycle that we're going to keep in mind before we start bringing in our characters and trying to line it up with this. So we're going to bring in, and I'll do that also, seeing the best way, either bring our elements into this file or bring this walk cycle into another file that you have your character in. We'll see which works the best. We can do one or the other. But one of the things that we want to look at as a walk cycle is the first thing that we want to set. We're going to do a walk cycle. We want to set the stride. And the stride is when you have your front leg and back leg contact, how far apart they are when they take their step or their stride. And with this, that's a big distance. So that character is not meandering down the street. They're trucking down the street. They're, you know, I can't profile for you guys on the camera, but I don't even have my camera on, so I don't even know why I'm doing that. But here we go. You got this leg here. Characters has this long stride there. And then another key thing is in this character, remember I talked about it had more of a lean. So this character has this forward lean as it walks. It has that line of action going through it here. One other thing, this is the character's right leg is forward on a walk cycle. The right arm is back. So they're opposite of each other. So if we look at the back left leg, it's back, and the back left arm is in the front here. So when we do this, we do our next, when we set up a walk cycle, we set up the two strides first. We want to get those to match. If they don't match, then our character will look like I have a limp. So with that, I come to this drawing here. And here, let's see how I can do this. I'm going to take this one and put it there for right now. So when we go back and forth on these, I'm using my comma and period keys on the keyboard. Those are the greater than and less than keys, going back and forth, step between these two frames. So now the left leg is forward and the left arm is back. The right leg is back and the right arm is forward. So that's the second stride. Go back to the first one and it's reversed. But what we're looking at is that the head is at the same height. The arms are about the same distance apart. The leg stride distance, oh, went the wrong way. Leg stride distance are about the same part. What I have going on here are the planes. So if we have like the foreground plane where the foot plants for the right leg, and there's a little background plane that gives a little bit of like the legs are a little bit separated, that they're not walking right in front of each other. And there is, how can I show? There is a good Richard Williams talk about walk cycles, and he talks about how women will walk with their feet more, and it's stereotypical, but the feet are more in front of each other. I'm gonna turn my camera back on. I just won't be doing any work over there because my hands are moving around here. I'm back, maybe. I can't see myself here, but yeah. But you guys see me now? Somebody say, yep, okay, cool. So a woman will walk, the feet are kind of right in front of each other, where guys walk, you know, they're a little more gruff about it. Again, it's stereotypical, but that's kind of where it comes from. In animators, we exaggerate things. So that's where that comes from. So what this is showing is that instead of walking on a straight line where you're walking your feet like this, the feet are more separated, a little bit of walking. So we have these different planes that are following as it's walking. But a key thing is you get those two stride poses set first. Those are our keyframes, our start keyframes that we're going to work with. We're going to set the first one up, how far the legs are apart, and then we'll set the second one up, just reversed. But if you look at them, the arms are about the same distance apart. If I go back and forth between these, very similar. And that's important because if you have that similarity in these two poses, then the flow would be that it's a flowing, nice, smooth walk cycle. If they were off, if one stride was shorter than the other, then your character would have a limp. It would be because one leg is going further than the other on the step. So for our first one, we want to try to get it even and get that there. So I wanted to point that out. We're going to get our two stride drawings done first. We'll bring this, put that back, grab that, get it back in here. And then I'm going to look at is the feet going backwards. So here's the character's right leg, and it's broken into these increments. And I talked about when we were watching the pans that we want those to slide in even increments. So if I'm using this heel as a guide, so go back to number 2, it's back here, number 3, 4, 5, and now 5, it's still, if I drew this little arch there, that if it didn't lift up there, it would be here. And 6, following an arch would be about there. Then maybe go follow the toes on these ones. So we look at the toes here. That toe should be actually there. Let's see, it's a little bit off, but it's pretty close. And then the same thing with the back foot. So as they move, we want to try to keep those even increments. That's going to help us when we set up our pans and getting those feet to feel like they're hitting solid on the ground as it goes through the scene. So that is a key thing that we want to set up in that part of it. So we have the strides as the feet sliding backwards. So you can see that the feet are sliding back, and I'll hit that again. Feels like the character's walking. There's a little hesitation as it goes back from drawing one. The computer's not keeping up with it, but we do see walking in place. The feet are sliding back. The other foot comes forward, and that's how we, that's the illusion of the walk cycle that we create. So the other elements to look at, we have our stride, and as the character comes back, we call this, so this leg is straight, it's on the stride, it's making that first bit of contact with the ground. The next drawing is what we call the breaking drawing, or it's catching its weight. So this gives this character a lot of weight, and we talk about when we want our characters, the bouncy ball, we wanted to feel like it had weight. We wanted our flour sack to feel like it had weight. So a character to have weight, this is like its squash drawing. All that weight is coming down as it makes that step. It's boom, boom. So what's going on here is that knee bends. So it's not a straight in between. It's a bend. We have this bend in the knee here. And that bend, the body's going down. The head was here, and the head came down. The whole body came down, caught that weight. And then the next drawings, it's working on bringing that weight up. So this is what we call the passing drawing. As this leg goes through, the character's reaching its highest point. That's even higher than when we started the stride, it was at this line. And now the character's gone up a little higher here as this arm's going through and this leg is going through. This arm's going back, that's sliding. So we have this catch the weight. This is more of an in-between drawing. And there's another keyframe where we call it our passing up drawing. And then it's going to get back to, this is going to be the up drawing, and this is the stride, and this is going to be our number 5, and in between that up and the stride drawing. The head's a little bit off there looking at that. So this head probably could be a little bit more over here. You see, turn on my, no, it's not going to work because it's not vector art. So a little bit there, but it still works. There, and then this is the opposite leg. So this is the opposite leg catching that weight. So we get that bend down. The opposite passing drawing where it's up higher. And something else to keep in mind is, as I said, all the strides are similar. So this stride, and is it this one? Yep, this stride. These two are similar. If we look at this one, the down position here and the down position there, look, they line up also. So keeping these drawings that are, it's just like which leg's on the ground. In this case, the left leg's on the ground. In this case, the right leg's on the ground. But the head's at the same height. The arms are about the same distance apart in there. So you're keeping those drawings as you go through the different steps into the strides, they kind of line up with each other also. So whereas our passing drawing is here, and our other passing drawing would be here. So there and there, like the head's about that same height. Looking at it here and here. So, and look at like the registration, the paper's off, maybe off a little bit, but getting this all line up. But it does work when you see the movement and for what we're doing. But those are things to think about. Get the strides lined up and then the corresponding poses on each one. So in this character has that bend down, the passing into the next stride, and then the following drawing is boom, and then it works its way up, and then here, and then boom, up, boom. So that gives it that weight, that boom, boom. And this character has a wide stride. That's a wide stride. So that's why this character feels like it is moving at a quicker pace. So I'm going to bring up the other one. So this is the Preston Blair one. And if I open, where's the Angry Animator? Angry Animator. And I'll open up that one. And it's similar. So, and these contact, so instead of calling it a stride, these names came from the animator, Angry Animator's website. He had this all drawn up like this. The other one I set up with the notes, but this is, so they, instead of stride, it's a little less distance, right? I don't think this character's taking quite as big a step. So we have here and here. You see how they're, oh, it's this one and this one. So this is a few less drawings. I think Preston Blair was 10. This is 8. This one? Nope. Come on. That one and that one. Right. So you see how they're lining up and they're changing. So that's important to get those set. And then has a little, the leg isn't bent quite as much, not really quite going down quite as much, but it is going down. See the head dropping, the knee bending, catching that weight from the straight leg, from the straighter leg to here. And then the passing drawing is here, the high point. That's our passing drawing. It's up above this line here. And then there's no in-betweens going into that stride drawing here. So that's where it's missing it, going boom, and then bend. And so if we look at this one and this one, This should be pretty good. I mean, it's a little bit off, but they're pretty much the same drawing. Little shift there, and then this is the next up drawing. Yeah. So between these two, they're about the same height. So keeping that uniformity, that the opposite, so left leg or right leg, whichever is going there, and then we'll look at how those feet are sliding back here. So we look at, and I didn't put measurements on this one, but we have here. Yeah, so you do the best you can to get those feet to stay even. Where that's going to help, so that character's a little more upright. Boom, boom, boom. So you can decide which one you want to use out of these two, and I would strongly suggest you use them as a guide. And reason being that it's a lot to keep track of. So doing it from the template at first is a good way to learn. You're going to learn a lot of techniques, and then you can apply it later. So you can do lots of different walk cycles. So we looked at that one zombie walk and all those different walk cycles. It looked like the same animator did all those walk cycles. So they were all different experiments.